Before demons were feared, before legends were carved, there was one man and one nightmare. Yoriichi Tsugikuni, the man born under the sun, walked like a whisper through shadows. Muzan Kibutsuji, the first demon, a monster who feared nothing. Until that one day. They didn't meet in war. They collided like fate itself had grown tired of waiting. The wind stopped. Birds vanished. Even time seemed to beg for the fight to never begin. Yoriichi didn't raise his blade to kill. He raised it to protect the world from hell. Muzan, despite his arrogance, felt it that terrifying silence before the wrath of sunlight. It wasn't a battle. It was a sentence. And Muzan stood in the center, trembling. The moment Yoriichi moved, Muzan saw thousands of deaths hidden inside just one unsheathed breath. Yoriichi's blade, crimson red, glowing like divine fire carved into Muzan like the truth. No screams, no mercy. Just the elegant destruction of a demon's immortality unraveling by force. Muzan's body split, again and again, each time regenerating slower, more desperate, more afraid. But Yoriichi didn't blink, didn't rage. His expression never changed, sorrowful, quiet, almost kind. And that's what broke Muzan. Not the blade, not the pain, but the pity. Because when a god pities a devil, the devil begins to remember what fear feels like. Muzan didn't just bleed that day. He shattered 1,000 pieces of terrified flesh. He fled like mist in sunlight, broken and humiliated, hiding in shadows that once obeyed him. Yoriichi stood still, blade lowered, heart heavy like slaying monsters had become a curse. You'd expect him to smile, to boast, but no. He looked lonelier than ever before, because even victory felt hollow. When the evil doesn't die, it just learns to run. That day, Muzan didn't die, but something inside him did. Something primal, something unspoken. Fear, not just of death, but of Yoriichi, of ever seeing that sun-colored blade again. Demons whispered his name after that, not in reverence and trembling, inherited horror. And yet, Yoriichi never saw himself as a hero, only as someone too late to save. His brother betrayed him. His comrades couldn't keep up. The world moved on without him, but Muzan never moved on. He lived every century looking over his shoulder at the sun. Every demon he created, every domain he twisted, was just armor built around that single memory. One swing, that's all it took. One god among men, and Muzan's eternity cracked. Isn't it ironic? The monster obsessed with immortality, scarred forever by a mortal man's grief. And still, Yoriichi walked alone, not as a legend, but as a shadow chasing peace. His Nichirin Blade faded, but the mark of that battle, it lived inside Muzan's soul. Every generation of demon slayers fought echoes, never Muzan, only shadows of Yoriichi's unfinished war. And that's what hurts the most. Knowing the sword that almost won was never lifted again. Yoriichi was exiled by fear, forgotten by time, but remembered by the one who couldn't forget. What kind of curse is that? When your greatest enemy becomes the only one who remembers you. Muzan rebuilt his empire, but behind every command trembled the memory of Yoriichi's eyes. Not rageful, not cool, just as if death had bowed to him, not the other way around. Even the upper moon spoke of him like a ghost story whispered during blood-drenched moons. The man with eyes like dusk and a blade that burned like tomorrow's sunrise. You ever wonder what fear does to evil? It doesn't redeem it. It reshapes it. Muzan didn't become cautious, he became desperate, evolving out of terror, not ambition. He needed a perfect body, an eternal disguise, anything to outlive the man already gone. But death wasn't chasing him, memory was. And that's what he truly couldn't kill. Yoriichi didn't just fight demons, he became their silence, their shame, their sleepless prophecy. And though his time passed, his absence roared louder than any living sword ever could. Generations passed, but every breath the Demon Slayer core took was borrowed from Yoriichi's resolve. He didn't live for glory or revenge, he lived because no one else could bear the weight. That's the thing about true strength. It doesn't scream, It doesn't boast, it simply stands unshaken. Muzan never defeated Yoriichi. He only survived him. And that's the difference between them. Because legends don't need to win. They just need to make evil remember it can bleed. And Yoriichi made Muzan bleed not just in flesh, but in spirit, for all eternity. His name? Whispered in battlefields, etched in diaries, carved in the hearts of the fallen. Even Tanjiro's blade carried the echo not in steel but in the heartbeat behind every swing. Yoriichi didn't pass on his sword, he passed on his fire. Quiet, fierce, and eternal. So the next time you see Muzan tremble, know this. He's not afraid of dying. He's afraid of remembering the man who faced him and smiled like death itself. And when the final war arrives and swords clash under a blood-red moon once more, every strike, every scream, every tear will be a letter from Yoriichi, delivered in flame. Because he never needed to win that night. He only needed to begin the ending. And that is why Muzan still runs. Because you can't kill what already became legend.